I'm Eric.
And I'm Steve.
MTG Drama.
From the Vault Miscuts.
Threat Assessment.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Hey there, fellow Planeswalkers. We're back with another episode of Let's Talk About It, episode 11. So, we wanted to start this episode off with the speculation on the MTG drama that's going on right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. If you're not under a rock, I'm sure you've seen what's going on, essentially between, I'm not going to use any names, but I kind of wanted to just bring up, and I think me and Eric talked about this a little bit, we're really not going to get involved in any of that. So if you are looking for that, as far as I know we always ask in the beginning of the show, what do you want us to talk about? We're probably not going to weigh in on it too much.
Yeah.
You know, Eric, you were talking about how, you know, we feel a little small for that, obviously, because we're not really big players yet or anything like that. No. And I feel that it's really not that important to what we're actually after.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about the card game. We're not here to talk about what
the
social social media
like
person is pissed off whatever other social media person.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's all secondary. I know there's a lot of like things that could like lead into, well, Wizards needs to do this or blah blah blah, and in reality, Wizards doesn't need to do anything. Wizards' best bet on this whole thing would just be to leave it alone.
Yep.
And not do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
Really, it kind of, this is more of what I wanted to talk about as far as this goes. I do not agree with big companies like this getting involved in like any kind of like political sphere or, you know, there's a lot of allegations of like harassment going on right now and anything like that. And as a company, just stay out of it.
It's just a mess. It's almost a lose-lose. And I think that's how I see it. You know, like we're thankful for the suggestion to talk about it, but I think it's just, it's a mess. Like
it really is.
Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a cloud on our, like, the game we all hopefully love and enjoy. You know?
Well, and that's the part that a lot of people are kind of focusing on right now is just like, how does this make everybody look outside of the game? Mm-hmm. You know, like when you're somebody like that's going to drop your kid off at X LGS, do you see an article about this drama going on and think, well, I don't want my kid involved in a game that brings up this kind of thing? And it's just like, I really don't think that's that big of a deal as people are making it out to be, but I could definitely see it becoming that way. Oh yeah,
of course. Like, you know, and everybody's like, one of our things, and I don't know if it's just one of those things. People are entitled to their opinion, and it could go either way. Like, it's a mess.
And I've always been, I think both of us have always been very accepting of everybody's differences. I mean, I don't think there's a single person in the entire world that would upset me for the way they are without doing something to me. You know, it's just like, yeah, you do you. Mm-hmm.
Wizards, I just saw an article from what they post to retailers and stuff, and one of the things is like 5 rules for a game store, and one of them was just like, just accept everybody, like aside from the, you know, keep it clean in a number of ways, as far as, you know, literally keep things clean, don't curse, don't fight each other, you know, that sort of stuff. And
pretty obvious stuff.
Obvious
really.
Things, and then that one, of course, which, you know, you think of, I think our number one rule is be respectful at the shop. Like, it's the first one. And they're all equally important, but, like, a game store wouldn't have people if nobody's nice to each other.
Well, I know some people may even give us flack about this, but it's just like, why wouldn't you want to be? Mm-hmm. Like, I know it sounds kind of, I guess, daycare-ish almost in a way, like, you don't say that bad word, but in reality, it's a place of business. You want people to come in there and enjoy their time, whether it's coming in there to drop your kid off or coming in there to play a game. There's two sides of the coin there.
Yeah.
Can't just, Yeah,
it's unfortunate, you know, but whatever, you know.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, I think this is like probably the one and only time we'll even talk about this very much, really, because it's not on our radar. No. It doesn't really matter to either of us. It's just, I think it's more just kind of fun to watch the fire burn, really, at this point. It's just like, my gosh, what is going on over there?
That's also kind of a comment, I guess, like, you know, it is true. It's one of those things, like, can't look away. And I agree fully with we're small fish. I don't think nobody cares what we have to say.
No, I mean, but even if we get to a point where they do care what we say, like, is that what we want to focus on? And I disagree. I don't think it's a good focus at all. If we want to make a separate channel where we're going to talk about like blah 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 X blah blah blah, I mean, a drama channel, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
not here.
I'm here to talk about the card game.
Yeah.
And the things that are immediately related to the card game.
Yeah.
Like quality, that's not drama to me. That's like, why is my product not good?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Which brings us on to our next topic, which is the From the Vault miscuts.
Yeah.
I may have already said this on this channel. I know I said it on the Brew Preview channel. We meant to
talk about it.
We did mean to talk about it,
but we didn't last week.
So I opened up 2 From the Vault lures. The first one I opened up, I noticed pretty bad miscuts, and I was just like, what the heck? And then I got to the card that I really bought the whole thing for, which was Liliana, and it was bent halfway
pretty
down the middle.
Half. We might take a photo and post it on our next one or something.
It was the only really, really bad damaged card I've ever opened up from a sealed product, which was bizarre to me. So I was like, okay, maybe this is a fluke. This box is just junk. I opened up the second one. No bend in halves, but everything is miscut. Like, there's cards that are like this. You know, if you think about a regular square frame, look at the card, it's off like that. And it's just like, what in the heck happened here?
Square, but the whole card is tilted. Yeah.
So then I started doing a little bit of research. I started looking at like different Facebook groups as far as like talking about From the Vault. Found a lot of other people that have pretty bad miscuts. Found 2 other people that have pretty terribly bent cards as well. So it's definitely a thing. And it's just like, I think I said this on the video on Brew Preview. It's just like, when you buy a premium product like that, you expect it to be premium.
Yeah. And I think, you think about how much, because you see this with like first runs of like Ravnica comes to mind, Return to Ravnica.
Yeah.
They all had those smudges, and Gatecrash had them too. Or like the first run of Ixalan, you've got a Tashana that's like dark gold, like they left it in the oven too long. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And it's one of those things, and I think that's been ironed out now. Or you get cards with no ink, or like the set symbol never got inked, or there's no little silver stamp on the card. Like, I've
heard of people getting cards where that just falls off. It just like flakes off, and it's just like,
I mean, that can happen. I mean, during the Avacyn Restored pre-release, people were getting cards that were like folded in half and then pressed, and like you could literally, like, you know how like a perforated piece of paper, they'd come apart, and it's like, what do I do? This is in my sealed pool, you know.
Yeah, can I play with this?
and didn't Kylie have a commander deck that was miscut?
Oh god, it was terrible too. It was really bad. It was just like everything was, you'd see the top of the other card at the bottom of the other card, and it was just like, And
some people really like that. Some people don't. I think the majority of people would say, hey, I bought this. Like, why?
Well, going back to what you were saying about the Tashana, and I think we found a few other cards like that too. I really enjoyed that.
They're cool.
Like the miscolor, like, this is picking and choosing, which shouldn't be a thing, but I enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty cool. But when my Liliana comes out of the friggin' box halfway, like half of it's bent, it's really just bad. Like,
yeah. And I think what it is, and especially with the miscuts, is it's a small run. Yeah. So, like, I bet if they turn the print press on and they're like, oh my god, all of this Rivals of Ixalan stuff that we did today is like off center, they'd throw it out. Yeah. They wouldn't have any problem, but they're just like, oh my god, we have like only enough material to make a certain amount of these FTVs. They're kind of miscut. Just cut them and put them in the box. Like,
well, and I think you had brought it up too. This could be something to do with the idea, the whole factor that it's flip cards,
double foils.
Like that could be the reason that this all happened in general. Yeah. And it's like, still,
it's not a good reason.
That to me is not good enough. Like, if I was in quality control and I saw this, I would have them reprint it all.
Yeah, and maybe that came across her mind and stuff. Like, maybe they tried to save some face, or but like, you think of the mess, how soon that could, how many other YouTubers are talking about it. Like, the fact that we have 2 that got busted. Like, I ordered one too. I swapped you mine. It was okay, but miscut. I'm gonna have to talk to Wizards and get a redone one, or send an extra card or something. Like,
something.
It's still, I mean, like, yeah. You think of how often something like that could blow up in a company's face, and then it does, and then they're in more trouble. Then we're gonna push it back a month.
I'm honestly surprised that we haven't heard a whole lot about it. Like, I don't know if people just, I know some people leave this sealed, and maybe it's just we got a couple bad boxes.
Yeah,
like,
that's
we don't know. Like, I just know that I did research and found out there were other people that were talking about it. So it's just like, I don't know. This seems less of an isolated incident, in my opinion. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of these were made. I mean, 15 per each game store. That's a lot of products. So.
Yeah, but maybe, like you said, they came out of the same 3 boxes.
Yeah.
So maybe there was just a bad day at the printer, and
I don't know.
We ended up with them. So.
Well, goes in line with the whole let's print double face cards from Ixalan on token paper
Token stock,
instead of regular stock. So it's just like, yeah, guys, come on.
Yeah. Who knows? But we joked we called it FTV Miscut instead of FTV Transform.
Maybe there'll be one.
Yeah, someday.
All these Miscut cards. It'd be great. Yeah. I'm sure some people would buy it.
Yeah. And I guess last we'll move on to our main topic.
This is our big topic today, and really, because we were talking about topics, I think a couple days ago, and I think something that I've been going through as far as playing Magic, EDH in general, right now. Even with some of our games, you've probably even seen it, where sometimes Greg or me or somebody will make an interesting decision. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
And really, threat assessment is a skill.
Yeah, it is.
It takes some time to really learn it, but sometimes it's a little more obvious than others. Yeah. So, and that's kind of what we wanted to touch on today. And obviously, we've had Consecrated Sphinx sitting up here this entire time. I think this is the bane of pretty much any Commander play group's existence. This card is absolutely ridiculous, and it is, it's crazy. Every time it hits the board, I'm just like, kill it with fire, just kill it now.
Yep.
Even when it's mine, I'm like, kill it, you better kill it.
Somebody should kill this.
Yeah, somebody should get rid of this right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, like you said, we were pulling images for this episode, and Steve's like, this is the bar. Like, yeah. If it's worse than this, it should be part of the YouTube. And of course, there's a lot of cards that are, I'd say, worse than this, or combos. Like, these are the ones that we said it kind of has to sit there and linger, be part of a, like, just something very ominous that's like, oh, this isn't going well. Like, and Consecrated Sphinx, of course, is doing that. If you're playing a multiplayer game, by the time somebody's drawn 2 cards, it's too late, I think.
Yeah.
I think that everybody should try to kill this creature as soon as it's out.
I'm a little bit more on, like, if it goes around the table one time.
It's, like a round.
That's where it's really an issue, because usually you can find whatever you need to, and either to A, protect it, or B, you've gotten enough out of it.
Yeah, you've gotten, like, what, 6 cards extra?
So 6 mana for 6 cards. That's pretty
really
good.
Yeah, so just being patient. Yeah, really good card. If you see it,
kill it.
Kill on sight.
Yeah. Sword Splashers, Path to Exile, Doomblade. It doesn't matter. Just kill. Even if you just have to board wipe, just get rid of it. This is one of those cards that's worth it.
Yeah, I agree fully. Definitely a responsible move, and that's another thing we debated with. But yeah, this is a huge threat.
Well, I guess the last thing I really want to bring up about this card is new players have asked me if they should play this card, and it's just like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is it's like, it's so degenerate, and it's so good that it needs to be included in any deck that's going somewhat this strategy. And it's just like, but do I really like shoving it in every deck? No. Yeah. I think of it, Seth brought it up a long time ago, that this card is a crutch card.
Yeah.
You really, when you first get into the game, this is a crutch. It gets you used to a certain play style, or not play style, but a certain, like, card power, essentially. And you can't really do a whole lot without it if you get used to it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The whole idea is, you're running this card, and your deck is at a higher octane than everybody else's. Like, imagine if it just said, on your turn, draw 5 extra cards, like, or 6 cards, and then your draw. Like, that card would be really good. Everybody would run it. You'd come to expect it a different way, and I think some people do say, yeah, I'm done with that. I know how that plays, and it's just not fair. It's on another playing field. So definitely a great one.
Yeah. Shieldred, the Whispering one. So this is another card that can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yes.
I know that I've experienced it in several games, and it's great as a commander, great in the deck, really does everything you want it to be. Is it as powerful as Consecrated Sphinx? No, but it definitely has a place, and graveyard decks are it.
Yeah, and you think of, and that's exactly it. Like, on its own, and it's another kind of qualifier, like, she's not so bad. Like, but it's the fact that...
I think... Well, I'll let you finish your thought.
You're good. Like, I'd consider her probably the 3rd most fair Praetor. Like, there's a big difference between, I'd say, Elish Norn and, like, Jin-Gitaxias. Like,
oh, God, yeah.
Or Vorinclex. Shieldred's not so bad, but it's what she works with that's just like, oh, my God. It's oppressive. Like, when she's on the board, and for me, I play decks that have 1 creature out often. Like, it's
this just kicks Voltron right in the face. It's just like, whatever, punk.
Yep. Say goodbye, and then, oh, hey, here's something great. So, really good. You don't want anybody to get one thing out of this. Hopefully the table bands together and takes her out somehow.
Yeah.
Similar to...
It's another card that's just like, kill it, Just kill it when you see it.
Yeah.
It sucks. We'll talk about a few of these cards that are coming up, and they are commanders, and it really sucks when you run up against especially like a newer player that's running one of these, and it's just like, I have to continue to kill your commander. There's not really a choice here.
No.
I've seen what happens, like Kylie in particular plays one of these guys, and we'll get to him in a little bit. And it's just like every time I play against it, I'm just like, Kylie, I gotta kill your commander again.
And I think sometimes we'll get people that buy a deck, and they'll just be like, everybody, like Kalia, had been out. I built a Kalia deck. It's super cool.
Bad idea.
And everybody's just like, why do they hate me? And it's like, there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
I don't. Luckily, she's not a commander a whole lot.
It's almost like there needs to be like a rating or something on it. It's just
you will get killed this much by running this card.
Do you know what you're doing?
Sheldred's really good for sure. Let's move on here.
Ugh.
Panharmonicon. This card is just crazy nutso. Just getting double triggers for ETB stuff.
Probably the second best artifact card to come out of that block.
Yeah. Again on its own, it's not so bad, but
oh gosh, but
it's whatever you put in with it.
You put this with the Acidic Slime. You put this with Deadeye Navigator.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no.
You think of Avenger of Zendikar, or like any sort of trigger. It's real good.
Yeah. And once again, it's a card that is just like, should I be playing this in my Brago deck? Yes, you should be playing this in your Brago deck.
Yep.
It's just like, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
And it's just like, hurts you a little bit on the inside when
does.
Just like, oh yeah, as a suggestion.
Yeah. And if I'd include it, I haven't put it in any decks yet because I haven't made any edits in a while, but like, really, I mean, you can't argue with it. It's the Cold War scenario. If somebody's running it, you need to run it too.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you play Shroom and then you get 2 artifacts from the graveyard back, and that much value is worth it. It's just
totally.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Even if it works once, like it can just destroy things.
Like, I need to get one of these for my Erebos deck because I wasn't even thinking about Gary. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a lot of life.
Or Fleshbag Marauder or any of those guys that it's amazing.
Just take people out.
Yep.
Kind of similar, I guess, but
this is one of the cards that I would actually even put ahead of Consecrated Sphinx on this list. There's very few of those, but this is definitely one of them. Yep. Deadeye Navigator, every time I've seen it hit the board, there is no like wiggle room for this card. No. It's always going to be degenerate. It's always going to do terrible things. Mm-hmm. And if somebody's saying, "Oh, I'm just playing this to X and X," they are not playing it to X and X. It's going to get you eventually.
It's the guy with all the yarn and is like, what card can I link here that just makes everybody not have fun? And not have fun, but the game's over. Like you think of
ETB1. Wow.
Yeah, you think of just anything. I mean, oh my god, he's real good.
Oh, one of my favorites is that Mystic Snake combo with this Deadeye Navigator and Mystic Snake. It's just like
all your stuff, right?
Well, and then you add in things like Seedborn Muse, which we'll talk about eventually.
Yeah.
And just have all that mana for all the days, and you're just countering everything. And it's just like, oh, that's a threat. Okay, I'm going to counter it. And it's just like, well, I can't handle your Deadeye Navigator combo because of this.
Yeah.
Or Peregrine Drake is another great example.
Any of those mana things, like...
You put this with whatever, and it's just like... And it's kind of funny, this card almost goes against what we started with the definition of this but just because of how ridiculous it is, it fits.
Yeah.
Just like, ugh.
Is it the ability or the soul bond? Like, obviously the ability is...
I think it's the ability on both cards.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this a little bit in the beginning. Eldrazi Displacer is similar to this card, but it's a lot more fair because, it has the A, you can't blink the Eldrazi Displayer, but B, you have to pay a certain color. Well, you have to pay a certain color mana here, but...
Odds are you have some blue.
Yeah. Diamond mana may not be as accessible to you as blue mana would be accessible, obviously, here. So... It's just like it's got restrictions, whereas Deadeye Navigator is a little bit, I don't know, pushed over the edge. I know it costs 3 more still, and it's double blue, and there's all these things, but really...
The game's heating up at that point,
If you've played Commander and you've played against this card, you know exactly what we're talking about. So...
it's surprising. I think he's still pretty cheap. I mean, he does have the reprint, and I guess Eternal Masters or Modern Masters 3.
One of those, yeah.
I always get those mixed up.
I don't even know what the set symbols mean anymore.
Even one was like Avacyn Restored. It was like less than $1. I'm pretty sure the card is disgusting.
Yeah.
Venser. We had a for fun game where you were just like that card's got to die, and it did. But yeah, if you read Venser, exiling stuff has kind of got the blink for your own, really good. Creatures are unblockable, but really the -8 is really good. Even just the +2 for forever and ever and ever. You just take out the biggest thing you can, like that you get a big ETB off of. It's real good.
This is just a good example of like a very well powered planeswalker.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, if something were like this were printed today, it would probably cost like 6 and probably still have 3 loyalty. You know, that's the kind of power level of this card, and it's always been really good, and it's still amazing to this day. I mean, it's what, maybe like, how many years ago was that?
Scars of Mirrodin, 2011 or 12.
So quite a few years ago now, and it's still really, really good. Yeah. I included in any Super Friends deck, any kind of like ETB, Brago / Rune decks. It's just good.
Yeah.
And really, if your playgroup lets us survive, they're being really foolish, because no one should ever let this card survive. I've had so many of my permanents exiled.
Yeah, and I was so close in that one game. I think it was it must have been what, 7? Yeah. And then the minute that's at loyalty 7 turned around, it's just like, okay, he's not going to make it. Like, it was pretty clear. Yeah, really that was a perfect threat assessment. Yeah. Like, if I'd gotten there, it would have been almost impossible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just cast Brainstorm. It's just like, oh, I get to look at the top 3 cards and exile a permanent. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, awesome. Super good. I mean, Venser definitely, it's super threatening.
Yeah,
super threatening.
Or shards.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's kind of funny. This is kind of an answer and a threat at the same time, because really it's going to answer all the problems that you're probably going to have with everybody else. But in the same token, if it's not yours, you're probably in trouble as well. So it's just like, oh, I just wanted to play blah. And it's just like, well,
it's blown up,
I don't have anything else to get rid of, so I'll get rid of that. And it's just like, oh, no.
And it'll go quick. In a green-white deck that screams tokens to me, the few encounters I've had with this card are, oh, I played an Avengers Zendikar. I'm going to blow up everything. And like you said, even if it's the worst thing that you love and cherish, like, it'll get blown up if it's an artifact or enchantment. And of course, one of my more notable fails is I played a Mycosynth Lattice with this on the board. Chris plays Avengers Zendikar. I think it was a 6-person EDH game.
Oh, man.
He literally blew up everything, and everybody's just like, are you kidding me? Like, it's not good, but
no.
It was fun. Yeah, this card, like you said, it's a great answer, but man, if it's rolling, and especially if somebody's playing it with a Mycosynth Lattice, like some people do that, you know.
And where I've seen this really get bad is, like, for a long time ago, there was a Rune Blink deck running around, and Aura Shards in that deck was just, like, super, super oppressive. It's just like, well, I have all these mana. Basically, if you're not playing green and you're not ramping traditionally, Aura Shards is a death sentence.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, nice rocks.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Yeah.
What turn is it? Oh, that's probably, like, the most mana you have now. Yeah.
Nice Gilded Lotus, bro.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Nice Mirage Wake.
Yeah, that's another one. Really good. Can get out of hand, of course. Very simply, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Grave Pact. So this card is more on here for any type of effect that's like this. Grave Pact, Dictate of Erebos. What's the other? The vampire.
Is it Flesh? Vampire?
Yeah, he's like
Butcher of Malakir.
Yeah, Butcher of Malakir.
Yeah.
Any of those types of cards. This effect is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's really, really threatening.
Yeah. You see, like, again, coming from probably have a few creatures on the board and just being forced to sack them all the time. Yeah, it's not good. And most black decks are prepared for this with, like, Thralls or Germs or whatever, and it gets out of hand quick.
It doesn't matter. Like, most of those decks that are playing this are
killing their best creatures
anyway. Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, I'm playing Carador, and I just
expect this next turn.
Yeah,
and by the way, lose something. So
yeah, it's so good. It's such a good effect.
Yeah.
This again kind of straddles the line between a really good answer and a really huge threat, because there's been times where I've been playing against people and it's just like somebody plays a Grave Pact and I'm just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like I needed that to deal with that opponent, because that's how out of hand they were getting. But really, I guess the way that I look at most of these cards and pretty much this entire list is, if I have a counter spell, should I counter it? Answer is yes. Almost all the time actually on something like this, because as advantageous as it may be in that instant, it's going to get out of hand in the end, and it's going to get to where it's not
advantageous to have it on the board. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
and maybe that's a simple way to think of it. Like, if you're in the game and you've got the counter spell, you say, okay, this might help me in the short run, but in the long run, I'm going to be wishing I had a counter spell to deal with this guy. You know, yeah, that's a really good point.
So this goes back to what we were talking about with as far as like running those huge threats as your commander. Omnath, Locus of Rage. I've seen several people try and pull that one over on me where it's just like, it's my commander. I'm just trying to play the game.
I just love elementals.
I just like this. And it's just like, no.
Yeah.
No. That is
beat
not.
him down.
That's not what is happening here.
Yeah.
You're trying to kill everyone like right away.
Yep. And it can. And I've seen it a number of times, like you said. The big deal, of course, is whenever him or another elemental dies, deal 3 damage to target creature or player.
And the fact that it's so easy to make tokens with this, it's just like, oh yeah, I'll just run Sky Shroud Claim and make 2 more tokens. Or better yet, like Boundless Realms and just make 1,000,000 tokens. And you're just like, well, I can't board wipe.
Nope.
Unless I kill Omnath first, which is the key. Well, that's where most people screw up on. It's just like, do you have targeted removal? Yeah, but I can't. If I start killing things, they'll just kill me. It's just like, well, why don't you just spot remove Omnath?
Yep, and then wait for them to tip their hand or something. Go for the board wipe.
Yeah.
Then you path or something.
But of course, that requires you having the answers in your hand, which is pretty much everything.
Yeah, all of these. And we even cut some off the list that we said, this card's really good, but the like, it's just like, watch out for the thing that's invisible and sudden and it's going to kill you. Like, that's not very good advice. Like, if you see an Omnath...
like, oh, there's a Cyclonic Rift. No, that's not a build-up card.
This is... When you see an Omnath and all these other cards, it's the fight or flight. It's like, oh, God. Like,
Goblin Bombardment. No!
I hope I have something that I can get out of this with. And sometimes you gotta have your wits about you and think, okay, I need to dig because I don't have an answer. Or, like you said, with Grey Pact... Is this the thing that I think it is, or is it going to get way worse? Like, God, Omnath.
Well, it's just like we were talking about Collective Vengeance earlier. It's just like that with this card is just like Tempt with Vengeance. It's just like, oh no.
And you'll see people, again, threat assessment, they'll be like, wow, a whole bunch of elementals sounds
6
great.
elementals. It's just like, you just lost us the game, like hardcore.
Yeah.
Like Impact Tremors is a great example of something that Omnath players usually play, and it's just like that card is definitely a problem as well, but... Yeah.
It's funny, like, I loved Omnath. I had a mono green Omnath, and then this guy shows up, and it's just like I'm ashamed to play mono green Omnath because of how, like, this guy takes no prisoners. And,
no, he just kills everyone.
Yeah, he's good, but jeez.
He's so crazy. I've built, like, 3-4, like, 1 4-color deck around this card and 2 3-color decks around this card. That's how stupid this is. It's just like, I need to find Omnath and just win. So it's just like, oh, God.
He's super good.
Yeah.
Prosh. Yep.
This guy's been around for a while, and he's been kind of like one of those really spiky commanders for a really long time, because really it doesn't take a whole lot to kill one of your opponents with this guy. No. And any time a Prosh player is swinging at you, you need an answer for it, because most likely you're probably dead. Yep,
they're just going to shift things around and end you, and the fact that you want to cast him for more and more, and then like you think of like the Grave Pact. Imagine if it's just like, you have 6 creatures, I have a bunch of these little kobold guys, like, goodbye, throw them in the fire, and then everybody else's stuff is gone. Like, real good. He's real good.
Yeah, like, it just doesn't even, like, most of the time, especially in these colors, it's just like, it doesn't even matter if you block it. It's just like, okay, Wolf Run. It's just like, well, now you're dead.
I think I played, when we did our, it wasn't, we didn't do YouTube back in the day, but we did a quick out-of-the-box gameplay for C13, and I think I played Shattergang Brothers, and I'm like, wow, Prosh is pretty cool. I don't think I got it. And then, of course, you see it nowadays, and he's hard to come by. I don't think he's too expensive, but it's just like, it's another card that's like, holy crap, this is really good, you know?
That artwork, too.
Yeah, it's really great. I keep looking at it.
Yeah.
But, man, really good. Fits in Jund, super Jundy. Real good. Rune. More ETB stuff.
Yeah, this card gets out of hand really fast. It's kind of surprising how fast it does, too. So you can only really blink one thing, unless you have like a bunch of untap kind of things going on. But for the most part, it's pretty much fair. It's like, it's a fair card, but really, I think this one is more of an assessment of like the types of decks this guy runs. It's just like, oh my god.
It's just the shutdown Bant, like ETB, Value Town. Like, I remember I played a game and I was just, it was oppressive. It's hard to get out from under it. You think of every good card in your deck and just imagine getting it for forever. Those effects, it's like, man.
It's like 2 Avengers into cards. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Bant, you know, like, I think we've talked about this. I don't know if it's been on the YouTube. I think Bant is probably one of the strongest color combos in multiplayer Commander.
It combines the best aspects of 3 colors. I mean, really. Because I know a lot of people think of green as like, I'm just going to ramp, I'm going to ramp. But really, it's more than ramp. It's ramp and huge creatures that have crazy
abilities
ETBs
and stuff, right? Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people kind of fall off there. And it's just like blue. It's like, I'll draw a bunch of cards, but I'll also have the control aspect of it. And white's like, I'll have a ton of removal, but I'll also gain a heck of a lot of life too. It's just like,
just tricks all around. Green creatures with tricks being kind of like, you think of exotic creatures, like, you think of acidic slime, a very fair card in my opinion. But then you think of, does black have a card that's like, it's most black cards kind of fit in a mold, and then green is just like
almost
everywhere.
And green really can do pretty much everything at this point, which is kind of weird because I know a long time ago they were like, let's stick to the color pie, blah blah blah, but it doesn't really feel that way anymore for the most part. Like, every color has a form of something. The only thing is like black and like artifact and enchantment removal. Like, that still isn't a thing. I think there's like 2 cards.
Yeah. But I think that's embodied in the ETB threat of Rune.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, if you think about it, you can run Eldrazi Displacer, Deadeye Navigator, and Brago all in this deck. So it's just like, let's just ETB all day long, all the time.
Super good. And you think of Panharmonicon too.
Oh god,
like that should just go without saying. Boy, Blood Artists. How many games in Standard around this time did you see? Did you play when this was going on?
I did actually.
Yeah,
it was
Aristocrats and
Aristocrats was definitely a thing. I lost plenty of games to that. Yep. And I also played with Blood Artists for quite a while too. Not as efficiently as Aristocrats did, but I still played with it for a bit.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards that'll definitely sneak up on you if you're newer to the game and you don't necessarily know what's going on, because it can just devastate you if you're not paying attention to it. If they have 1 million tokens somehow and you go to board wipe and it's just like, okay, you're dead. It's just like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. How often you're just behind a rock and a hard place. Like, really, this card is...
Obviously, the answer there again is like, do I have spot removal? Okay, get rid of Blood Artist. I mean, this is almost like Omnath Locust of Rage 1.0. Like, this is like the OG in that way.
Yeah, I'd agree.
They have kind of somewhat different effects, but it's pretty much the same kind of idea. Idea.
Yeah, you just kind of not pillow fort. Obviously, this guy's not, picking up your banner and making it into combat and stuff like. Just like Omnath. I don't know if people swing with Omnath. I just see him, land, elemental. Like, please let the situation get more out of hand,
Maybe just to win the game or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, blah. Yeah. Especially if they have like a sack effect or whatever. But yeah.
Or they just swing with their other stuff. Like, this is why I run, like, Rage Nimbus. Or you think of the Goblin Diplomat. Like, those kind of cards are pretty good when it's just like, this card, they want to keep safe. It's part of their game plan. Really, really good.
Yeah.
So
we all have nightmares about Brandy's deck.
Yeah.
She has an absolutely ridiculous Sylvala Heart of the Wilds deck, and I'm pretty sure anybody that builds around this card it's just gonna be degenerate. The card is amazing. The card is ridiculous. There's a reason it's like $12 or something like that at this point. I'm sure it's gonna go up over time. I wouldn't want to see a foil cost of this.
I bet it's like $50 at least.
It's ridiculous. You see this card, you should probably get rid of it. It's gonna be bad. I mean, I know it kind of gives that group hug kind of effect where it's just like, oh, if I play a big enough creature, I'll draw a card. But really,
who cares?
Next turn, whoever's playing this could be infinite mana. I'll play all my creatures. You're all dead. You know, it's just like, oh, nice Crater Hoof.
Yeah,
I cast it for 1 green mana. Essentially. So, yeah.
I think the weird thing is, and I think we discussed this before, it's odd that this card is green. Like,
yeah.
And the fact that it says get any combination of colors.
Yeah, and I think they were kind of smart to do that in a lot of ways, because I think if this was dual color, it would be even worse for us. Yeah. But really, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
you think it would be mono green CMC and activation, make green mana equal to your thing, or like you said, a dual color or something like. But like we were just looking at you think of a Jund deck or a Naya deck that's just nuts, and you just toss this in here, you could have all green mana, throw her out, and start fixing your mana. Like, really good.
So good.
Yeah.
Really, like I said already, like the card draw being on this card is great too, because usually you're the one that's playing the big enough creatures to draw the cards. Yeah. So it's just like, is it really that big of a benefit? Because if you can't get over the hurdle of playing a 6-cost card on like turn 4, whereas that deck can, you're never going to get that card draw.
No,
it's just matter.
You dangle the carrot and then you're just running away with it anyway. Yeah. She's so good.
Yeah. Una, Queen of the Fae. Now this is one of those ones that a lot of people are just like, oh, back in the day, this used to wreck me all the time. I hadn't played against it for a really long time, and then I played against it like 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, well, she's still as bad as I remember. because it's still pretty devastating, especially if you're playing one color. So if you see this pop out, make sure you're just like, okay, I didn't mean to bring this deck out, you know.
And even if they like don't kill you, it's just like
they're just using you at that point.
Really, it's just like you're just like some sort of nutrition to their deck, and it's just I'm wasting away. You're getting fairies and killing
hungry.
me.
Oh.
Yeah, and then of course it lends itself to the ley lines and all the mill. I mean, how many times have players seen this creature come out and kill the entire board? Like, it doesn't even tap, Steve.
Yeah,
it doesn't even tap.
Yeah, I mean that's the part that really pushes over the edge, because if you have infinite mana, you just win the game.
Yeah, that turn.
You're just like, okay, I'm gonna exile your library, and your library. Good luck drawing a card.
Yep.
It's like, nice brainstorm, bro.
She's super good.
Yeah, so good.
And there's a ton of them now because it's got like 3 prints, I think. So.
Yeah. Mirari's Wake, another card that people, in my opinion, let pass.
Yep.
This is not something you should let pass.
Nope.
You could say the same thing with Extra Planar Lens.
Any of the doublers.
Any of the doublers. Double mana is always an issue, and it should always be considered a huge threat, because usually that deck is geared to use double mana. If it's running it, it's geared to use it.
Yeah, didn't go in there by accident.
Yeah. Mana Reflections is the one that I constantly think about, because it's just like, you combine that with Mirari's Wake, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, what, how do I even deal with this right now?
Yep. And then, one thing that I don't think is so bad, when I see this, I like laser beam on the second line, the double mana. But even a +1/+1, that's like horrible. Like, you could take a creature that isn't like so bad and make him worse, more survivable. Like,
well, if you think about it, it moves up the clock on Progenitus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very narrow example, but it really does.
Yeah.
And a Progenitus player is going to love that his mana is doubled. So it's just like, yeah, sure.
Forget it. Really good.
Yeah.
Another one that has had a good amount of reprints too, so it's prevalent.
Well, and you think about, like, there's a ton of cards that do the same thing, like Zendikar Resurgent, stuff like that. So
Nekusar, another C13 beast. Yep. And man, this guy was everywhere for a while, but I remember seeing a bunch of cards go up in price just because you get to cycle and make people draw. Like, I think the threat is down a little bit. You'd mentioned like, there's other ways to kill people that don't allow them to draw cards, you know. So his threat has gone down a little bit, but man, there's a period where everybody's beefed up deck was an Nekusar, like, just draw till you're dead type thing.
And that's, I think, part of the big reason we put it on here is just because, like, if they're running Nekusar, there's a reason they're running Nekusar. Like, there isn't a question in my mind that there's wheel effects in that deck. Like, unless they're really new to the game, Yeah. And I would say Nekusar is here mainly as an example of that type of deck. And I would definitely put it in, like, the, what's the other guy that does the same thing almost? Can't think of it. Anyway, it's that idea of that type of deck that I don't need to swing at you. I just need to make all my enchantments and artifacts trigger their abilities, and you're just going to get like attritioned out, essentially,
Yeah.
So good. So
yes,
good.
Really is.
Ugh.
Another commander card.
Yeah,
Baron. And we talked about, boy, Gov's really good and Carador's really good, and then Steve's just like, just talk about Marin. Like, and you think of how many times you sit across from this, and it's like, I hope this top deck's Tormod's Crypt. Oh, it's not. Well, really. It's gonna get way worse now. I hope they get a Tormod's Crypt. I hope they have a Bajuka Bog. Like, nobody does.
No.
And, yeah.
And like, every game, I swear, whoever has this card is just like, oh, Sakura Tribe Elder. It's just like, no, how did you even do that? This is like the second game in a row.
And that's like the very bottom of this is bad. Like,
that's the problem, is it makes the low cards terrible, and like, anything's good in that deck. It's just like, I'll just keep reusing it.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorites is that stupid green elf that has Echo on it. You know, the 2-cost green one that, I can't remember his name. He's a 2-cost green elf with Echo that comes in and draws you a card. And then at the beginning of your next end step, or upkeep, if you don't pay the cost, he goes to graveyard.
Yeah.
So it's an automatic. You don't even have to sacrifice it. And it's just like a very slow, accumulated value. But really, with Marin on the board, it's just like, okay, I'll bring it back. Okay, it's going to die. Okay, I'll bring it back.
And then something better hits your graveyard, and it's like, okay, I'm done with this elf now.
Like, it's like, I don't care about this guy anymore. It's just like, I drew 3 cards off of it and got 3 triggers. And the counters are really what counts. It's just like, I don't care about anything else, really.
And the fact that it's that easy to do, like, it should be, it's like hand in hand. You think they'd be a little bit, you got to go this way and then you get some of this, but no, it's your stuff dies and then you just bring it back and you get more counters. And
she almost doesn't even feel like a creature to me. She feels like an enchantment. And it's just like, because you're probably never going to swing with this thing.
Nope.
I mean, it's a 3-force. It's got pretty good body on it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it wouldn't make that bad of a 1v1 commander if you look at it.
Yeah.
But really, oh man. And like there are some cards that you just do not want to see go in the graveyard. I think one of them's on this list. We'll get to it eventually, so I won't spoil it. But yeah, any kind of like what we're talking about with like graveyard or grave pact effects, and like think of that. Sakura Tri-Builder, grave pact effect. I'll sacrifice him, I'll go get a land, I'll bring him back with the big game I end step, I'll sacrifice him again, get another land, you guys sack 2 creatures, I'm up 2 mana, and I've got 3 triggers, and it's just like, or 2 triggers, and it's just like, oh god.
It's just impressive, yeah. Thank goodness they reprinted this one, right?
Yay!
It's pretty expensive, and I think she's probably one of the more sought after cards in, I guess it was C15?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because 16 was the partner, so.
I cannot wait for the other half of this cycle, though. Like, I want the other ally side.
Yep.
I really hope they do that next year, or something else wacky. I don't know what they're going to do anymore, but
yeah.
I don't know.
It would be great. I think they broke new ground with this experience counter stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about I don't know if is Mizzix the one with experience
yeah.
counters. Like that one's really great. Like it would be nice if we got the other half, but we'll see.
You could definitely throw Mizzix in on this list as well. We just kind of left it off to save a little bit of time, but Mizzix is disgusting.
So good.
Oh, hey, look at that. There's the Locust God.
This is the one you were talking about with
Kylie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card comes out and it's just like, okay, Kylie, I got to kill your commander again. But it even deals with that. With when the Locust God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. It's just like, really? And I know a lot of people, especially in Standard, talk about the blue-black Scarab God more than they do the Locust God, which makes sense. It's fair. Mm-hmm. I think the Scarab God's great too, and I like the Scorpion God personally. Mm-hmm. But the Locust God is just one of those things you see hit the board, and you're just like, I got to remove that. I got to exile that. I got to figure it out.
We're all going to be dead soon if we don't.
Yeah. The fact that those tokens have haste is really what gets me. It's just like, why did we do this? Of all things.
We were talking about the our Devastation Commander Challenge, and this was, I think, the last one to get grabbed.
Yeah.
I didn't have any interest in playing it, but like Steve and Greg but were interested in both playing, I think, the Scorpion God, right?
Yeah.
And then Kylie's just like, I'll play the Locust, I guess. And then I think in the one game he had a shared animosity and just blew us out with 9/9 flying hasting.
Well, and
insects.
his biggest way to win right now is what the hell's the Coat of Arms?
Oh yeah,
you just put down a Coat of Arms, all of a sudden all your bugs are like 20/20s, and you're just like, okay,
drawing, getting bugs, swinging and killing people with haste and flying, like. Man,
so
really good.
Yeah, if this card isn't on the radar when it hits the board, or on your radar when it hits the board, then you've got a problem.
You're gonna learn quick, I think, and just be wary. Yeah. Keep your wits about you.
Be very wary.
Gerard, another good one.
And this is often a win condition. Yeah. Like this guy will often you get. What is his name? Lord of Extinction, I think his name is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You put Lord of Extinction on your board, and you just kill everybody. You know, if everybody's low enough, it'll work.
You think a Chameleon Colossus or something too?
Yeah.
Well, I guess no, you couldn't target him, right? No, you just sacrifice another creature. Yeah. So yeah, you just pump up Chameleon Colossus a whole bunch, and then like group fling him at everybody, and yeah, it's real good.
Well, that's the thing it is a group fling essentially. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll sacrifice one creature to deal you all 10 damage. I mean. Yeah. I've seen this card with World Breaker, and it's just like everybody take 15
and then
you get 3 5/5s, and you can probably finish everybody off with those 3 5/5s. Yeah. It's just like, do I have the mana at that point? And I've seen this guy run as a commander, run in the deck. I usually run him in the deck because
he's in your Nath deck, right?
Well, yeah, he is in the Nath deck. He's in pretty much every black-green deck that I think about it. This is a good win condition. It really is. Yeah. And it's a good sack outlet too. Yeah. That's the other part. It's just like it's benefit for what you're already trying to do. So. Plus, he turns into a giant monster most of the time, too. So it's just, I wish he could sacrifice himself, but that would make it too easy.
Yeah, that'd be just like, okay, do you have 4? I mean, his mana costs. I'm sure this was a standard design card, and then EDH players say, oh my god. Yeah. You know, I can just hook up this clip here and that clip there and supercharge him, and then the whole table's done. He's super cool. It's good. I don't think he really crept onto the scene at the shop.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh god. It's like red alert when that dude hits the board. Another Praetor, of course.
This one's more of just like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
This is, I think, the second least fair.
Yeah, I'd be there with, Jin Gataxias and Vorinclex. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that.
And it's just so good for the player and so awful for everybody else. Like, even dealing with him, like I've seen people that are board wiping and are like, okay, I've gotta these manas are exhausted now, like, you know, just to deal with this guy. It's oh man, he's horrible. Yeah. He's but really good, of course.
Well, and he's one of those. I know usually people just win with tooth and nail, but this is a target for tooth and nail sometimes, especially if they're playing more of like a control route.
Yeah.
You just put this guy out there, and it's just like all of a sudden, it's just like, no.
Yep.
I don't have any. And to answer it, you have to go down in resources unless you float in an exile or something.
Yeah. But... And again, it's the do you have something in your hand? Because if you don't, you should use it, or if you do, you should use it. If you don't, it's like you better pray somebody else does. Yeah. Like out of hand, quick.
Yep.
Gisela,
of course. Another one of those types of problems.
Yeah, like again, really good for the player who owns it, of course. And then
this is a great political card.
Yes,
because if you have it on the board and you're just like, I'm not attacking anyone.
Yeah,
and you're just like, I'll let the rest of you just beat the crap out of each other. That's fine with me. And that's what's really good about this card is that you literally don't have to do anything.
No,
it's all up to your opponents to destroy themselves.
And you think of like I run a lot of cards. I play red. There's not really like destroy creatures. It's deal some damage and hopefully kill it. But you deal with a 5/5. Now you have to deal 10 damage to kill this thing. Like that's one of those things. It's real bad when you say, oh god, I can
better have 4 lightning bolts. Oh.
Yeah, but it's equally as bad when all of your stuff is like, oh this doesn't do any damage. Like, and yeah, I think we ran into.
Would that even work?
To you or a permanent you control, prevent half rounded up. So yeah,
okay, so it would work.
If you hit it for 1, you prevent 1, so you do nothing. Like, you know, you need to do 2 to deal 1, and then all of a sudden you do 3. Half of that is rounded up to 2. You deal 1. Like,
yeah,
she's so good. And like you said, I do like that political aspect. We joked about Heartless Hidusugu, so it's like, you know, hit you for half your life, and then don't do a quarter after that. Do another half, and then the whole board's dead. You know? But yeah,
I mean, there's a reason this was on like the top 3 commanders on EDH rec for red white, because really, what else do they have going for them besides Aurelia?
Not a lot. We looked at Iroas, which is pretty good.
Yeah,
but and then Aurelia, and then of course you think of Aurelia and Gisela.
That's just disturbing.
Yeah.
That's not even disgusting, it's disturbing.
Yeah, I think Ashley, and of course, like another card that's on this that will help with your angels. It's a pretty. You don't have to connect too many dots to find out where that's going. Really. We should have put these in order, Steve.
We should have, but whatever.
Boy, Sword of Feast and Famine. We kind of debated on Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
It's kind of the second best one, I'd say.
I think for 1v1, like we talked about, all the other swords, like all of the swords are great in 1v1. Even like the least favorable one, which is probably the blue-green one or the black-white one. I can't remember which one is less, but even they're amazing in 1v1. But what really speaks to multiplayer is Sword of Feast and Famine. Like, this card is just super, super good. The fact that I mean, most people don't even care about the second effect. They just want to untap their lands.
I was just thinking about it. It's like, what's the other one? You know, like...
discard a card, which is actually really good, but it's so overshadowed by the other effect. It's just like, whatever.
And, you know, we often talk about what does this sword mean to your pool as far as protection.
Yeah.
And green and black are like... You know, you could kind of muster up against anything. You think this creature's threats are blue. If it's in the board, it's probably not going to have to deal with blue very much. No. White, probably not a huge deal. Red, like targeted removal, sure. Well, like burn or something. But
I'd say white would definitely.
Yeah, I guess
path
with
and swords.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking creatures and stuff, but spells of course could really take it out if you have pro white, and I think that's why you said Sword, Feast and Body and Mind and Light and Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Light and Shadow has protection from 2 removal colors. Like, that puts it ahead. Milling and a Wolf, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it work, but it's just like that's more of a in certain circumstances, whereas this is just good all the time.
Yeah, and it's gonna be bad all the time. Whenever you see this card, just don't let him hit anybody. Like,
we should have really grabbed Batterskull too. But I think that's more of a 1v1 thing too as well. I don't know.
And hopefully that won't change the whole course of a game, where if somebody untaps their mana, like empties half their hand, swings, hits somebody, empties the other half of their hand, like that's not good.
No.
Great card. And there's a reason we don't have very many of these at the store, if at all, ever. Like, because they just get bought.
Yep. Oh, and hey, there's that angel we were just talking about a second ago.
Yeah.
That's Avacyn, Angel of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
This is more... it's another one of those threats that's more like in the back seat, because it's just like, well, all my stuff has indestructible, so it opens you up to be able to do like Armageddon without even thinking about it, Yokel Hops without even thinking about it, you know, Obliterate without even thinking about it. It's just like, and really when this hits the board, the fact that it itself is indestructible is really what is just like, oh no.
Yeah. So you think your few options are to like exile it, you know, make him sacrifice. I've seen that quite a bit. But yeah, it's tough.
I think this card got a whole lot less threatening when Cyclonic Rift got printed.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I remember, you know, and I guess it wasn't, I guess it was very shortly after Innistrad. Yeah. The next set, in fact. There's probably a core set in there, but yeah, I think Avacyn had a much longer, like, time in EDH being a huge problem before people are, like, it's not a huge deal anymore, I don't think, but it's clearly like, you're 1 millimeter from winning the game if this card's in play. Your plans are pretty hard to disrupt. You know, you think how many things give Shroud, or giving the Shroud, or, like, boy, it's tough.
It's one of those cards that always reminds me that I need to put less destruction-based removal in my decks. More exile type stuff, because it really does make a difference. It's just like, oh. And most of the time you only think about that in like white. And so like, oh, I have all these great Path to Exiles and Sword Plowshares, but really if you look at black, there's a ton of them too. And like even some other colors, like blue has like one that's really good. So I mean, they exist. Well, in creatures it's actually got a few more, but yeah. Yeah, great card, amazing, ridiculous.
Not good if it hits the board.
Yeah. Seedborn Muse. Prophet of Krufix.
Yeah, we talked about Prophet of Krufix immediately. Like, there's a reason that one's banned.
Yeah, that card was super impressive.
Yes.
It's so much better than this card. It's kind of ridiculous because this card is so amazing. So it's just like, what? And
I don't know what they were thinking.
I don't know what they were thinking. Like, I think I was clouded a little bit when I first was playing with Prophet of Krufix, because it's just like, oh, this card's plenty fair, and that's because I was always playing
and
it.
Everybody else was too. Yeah. So it's like, this is how we all play Magic now.
I think people were including clone cards in their deck just for Prophet of Krufix.
And that's why it got banned. I've heard so much that the committee says, how often do we see this? How often do people fight over it? How often does it end the game? And Seedborn Muse, you know, Unwinding Clock, you think everybody's trying to copy it. Everybody's going to try to steal it. Everybody's going to try to, you know, just puke out their deck on any number of turns. Like, she's really good.
Yeah, and Animar, just like,
yeah.
But yeah, getting back to the card at hand, Seedborn Muse. It's another one of those cards that you just need to kill as soon as you see, because obviously the person that's playing it knows what they're doing with it, and it's just like, there's a reason.
Yep.
Usually it's in Bant or blue-green. Even sometimes it's like red-green, it's still really bad for you. It's just like, okay, they're doing something.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really crazy card. Really, really good. Love that artwork still.
Yeah, really, it's great.
I have a foil now, and I just like...
you got that in Japan, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Man. Such a great card.
Rhystic Study. So we were just talking about this earlier too, and it's just like, when you assess two cards like this, like Rhystic Study and Phyrexian Arena, like there's arguments for both. I think you're right. I think Rhystic Study is a little bit more threatening because it's a constant like, oh, I'm taxing you, I'm taxing you, I'm taxing you. Yeah, you may not draw as reliably on it, which honestly you have more opportunities to draw on it than you do with Phyrexian Arena. But I've seen games where I've put a Rhystic Study on and not gotten a single draw on it. Yeah. So I don't know.
And I mean that's similar to those tempt cards. Like, everybody's got to hold the line on this card, otherwise it's just as bad as a Consecrated Sphinx.
Yeah,
like
one person's just like, okay, whatever, and it's just like, well, they did, so it's just like, okay.
Or imagine if somebody's behind on mana, they're just like, guys, I gotta, and it's like, no. Just stop. Like, and of course that's not a good argument. Like, if you've got this in play, it's bad, man.
I've got this what is that lantern that gives like mana out or whatever?
Oh yeah, the Spectral Spotlight. Yeah. Kylie would be like, guys, come on.
I'll just give you 1 mana. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Just pay your Rhystic Study tax. This we joke at the shop, like, this is the rip the Band-Aid off card. Yeah. The only way to you have to play along until somebody can get rid of it, because it's not responsible to let somebody get ahead, and they do on turn 3 or sooner. Like, you know, gosh, it's just so good and so oppressive.
Just
and
wait
so
for the game where it's like Rhystic Study, Consecrated Sphinx, and you're just like, well, I'm just done. I'm done. I give up.
Shuffle up, boys.
Yeah, we're going to game 3 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, doubling season.
Yeah. Okay. So this is one of the other. this is another card that I probably put above Consecrated Sphinx, and there's a good reason for that, because you see this in almost anything. Once again, there's a reason they're playing with it. Like, Super Friends is obviously a huge problem with a card like this, because it's just like any Planeswalker they play, it's probably just going to win them the game right there.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, Tameo Ultimate. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
Venser. Anything. It doesn't matter. This card.
Even if you get close, and it's just like, now you got to deal with multiple Planeswalkers that are coming in with more stuff. Like,
I guess Venser doesn't work because it only goes to 6. It needs 8.
Yeah.
I always forget about that.
Even so, like, who cares if you're playing Super Friends? You're not just playing a Venser. Like,
no.
It's this card. You think of Avenger of Zendikar. You get double your number of mana in tokens that now have 2 counters on them when you landfall. Like, that's out of control. Like,
I think the only reason this card is as expensive as it is because of Commander. Yeah. Because I know there's like one modern deck out there that does some things with doubling season sometimes, but it's kind of crazy. Commander driven 100% card in my opinion as far as cost, and it's like still like $60-$70. Isn't it? It's just ridiculous.
It does need to reprint. Like,
it really does again.
Yeah, but I think, Chris told me a long time ago, he says, like, doubling season is probably a good card to buy, and at the time, when Modern Masters 1 came out, it was probably like a $40 card, and then it went down to like $12-$15. And they were around, and people said, oh yeah, that's cool, and there were foils and stuff, like, and Chris said they will never print this card in Standard, and the reason is because they would have to purposely craft Planeswalkers to avoid the ultimate when they drop, and, like, even if they don't ultimate then, just imagine, you're just, like, making your Planeswalkers twice as hard to kill with their loyalty and stuff, like, I completely agree that we will probably never see this card in Standard, because then they'd have to mess with Planeswalkers.
It'll always be in a Master set. Yeah. That's where this card will always be. Yeah. It won't be reprinted in Commander set. It won't be reprinted in, like, From the Vaults or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's gonna, well, I don't know. I guess there could be an argument for, like, From the Vaults enchantments or something like that. But even
then, that, like, I could see a Masterpiece, but that doesn't solve the problem of everybody wanting this card. Yeah. It's just saying, look at this. This is a great card that we all love and want to have a crazy cool copy of.
Out of all the decks that I have, I only have one copy of this card. Yeah. And that, in my opinion, tells a lot. So
yeah. It's, if you see one, I'd pick it up. I'd trade for one. Yeah. Like, and then, man, this card is just, it's backbreaking. You think of the other cards, like Parallel Lives, half of the card. You think of Primal Vigor. It's got it for everybody. It's still really good. Like, anything that says double is, people love to break the game. Mm-hmm. Like you said, if this is in a deck, they're gonna use it. They're gonna, like, break your back with it. So
if you see it, counter it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so good. Birthing Pod. We just happened across this kind of far into our search.
Yeah.
And it
really started thinking about it too, and it's just how good is this card usually when it hits the table, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, you think of, it's usually in a black deck, I'd say, so you've got some graveyard to go with it.
Like, it's usually in, like, that Marin Carador strategy where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go grab this, and then I'm gonna reanimate this, and it's just like, well, you lost nothing. Yeah. But usually 2 life.
Yeah. I was just gonna say the Phyrexian mana kind of changes things a little bit, but
well, really, that just makes it better because
it's easier.
Just, you can play it and activate it for 4 colorless mana.
Yeah.
Which is like,
yeah. And you think of, like, what they're gonna do, ETBs, sack effects, whatever, or sack triggers, and then you think of, what is it, Yisan, the like living birthing pod, like, it's the same thing. If they're at 4, 5 is going to be worse than 4. 6 is going to be worse than 5. Like, and these people know their deck like the back of their hand, and they just say, "Oh, I need to do this, like, to get out of this situation, and I'm at 4. Well, I need to go get this 5, and problem solved."
They're usually toolbox decks. Yeah. And there's a run up of, like, CMCs. They put them in there purposefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so good. It's really an actually amazing way to play the game. Mm-hmm. Like, I have 2 birthing pot decks, and they work like it's clockwork. Yeah. You get on a certain track, and you're just like, okay, I need this now. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to have that kind of power. So, as we've been saying this entire time, you see somebody play this card, they know what they're doing with it. There's 100% in my mind that they know what they're doing with it. Mm-hmm. There's none of this, oh, I just play Birthing Pod to get my blah, blah, blah.
I like it because it's cool.
I like it because it does cool things.
It just turns this horrible thing into that next horrible thing.
No, you like it because you're evil and you're going to kill us all.
It's curious you said like clockwork, and really these decks are that way, and it's pretty impressive to see like Seth had one that with Yisan, and it was just endless. Yeah. It was just bag or like trick after trick out of his bags. It was nuts. Oh, yeah. So good. Next one.
Yep. I don't even want to talk about this card.
Don't let them swing. Infinite turns. Real bad.
This card has caused me more headaches than I think. Well, okay, Consecrated Sphinx has probably been more than this, but I think of this as worse in a lot of ways because it's just like, oh no, and it's so funny because it's so on chance, and you just don't care because it's just like if you hit that chance, we're done.
It's like you everything is chock full in that deck. You're not like there's not a dash of stuff to abuse. It's all like, you just open things up and it's just like, well, I'm gonna clobber you with this and this and this and this and this. Oh.
It's like every time they reprint an extra card or print an extra card or extra turn card, I'm just like, no, not another one.
Yeah, 4 chances to hit probably 2 at least really disgusting cards is and I take those odds.
Oh god, yeah. This card just makes me want to go bleh, 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 bleh. God, so, well, yeah. Sorry. Okay, we'll just move on. Just move on.
Don't let Narset live.
Don't play this card either, because I will tell you, there's several new players that I've run into, and they're just like, I'm gonna build a Narset deck. It's just like, you are a fool.
It's the appeal of like this. This is why people play doubling season. It's not playing Magic anymore. No. Like your game is, can I swing with this? And if you do, you win. Like that. I mean, that's a great way to play. But yeah, like. That leads to they sit down with an Narset deck. I know exactly what to expect. They're gonna die. Like
it's like, oh, nice trying to get that mana rock out there so you can get to 3 mana, but I'm gonna destroy it. It's just like, I'm on turn 3. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. You're running Narset.
Yeah, I really don't care. I'd rather you have no lands. Can I accomplish that somehow? Yeah. Let's figure it out.
It's the guilty by association, guilty by your planeswalker or your commander. Like,
and it's really funny that when this card was like spoiled, I was just like, I should build an Narset deck, and then like I thought about it, and I was just like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, and you see so many people that are just, again, they know what they're doing, and you probably have to shell out. This is kind of like an Animar deck as far as costs. Yeah. Like, there are some huge parts that will set you back, and you think of like Time Walk or whatever being $20 or something.
It's pricey.
You need it. You like it, and that's how this deck runs. It cheats and breaks the game, and you steal turns, and you kill stuff, and you get extra combats, and do it again, and it's a great, very powerful card.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Kalia, which is almost the same. Well, I think this used to be the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. Now Narset is the boogeyman. So it's just like, Kalia definitely is pretty powerful. The thing is you can win out of nowhere with this deck.
A lot of the stuff she can cheat in.
Like Merciless. What? No, not Merciless. What's his name? The red-black demon guy that hits you and your life total goes to 1.
Master of Cruelties or Sire of Insanity? One of those
I think it's well, I know Sire of Insanity. Right? Yeah, because you can only swing with him when you do swing, but because of Kalia, the way she works, you get around that
already. Yeah,
I can't remember his name, but anyway,
it's from RTR.
Yeah, it's from RTR. But I mean, I've been killed that way before, and let me tell you, it's just like out of nowhere, and it's just like, I thought you were gonna swing at me with like Rakdos or something. Like, when you're asking for like 12 damage instead of like just death, that's pretty bad. So.
And you think this is the card I meant with Gisela, but then you think of Avacyn, and it's just like you said, it's very sudden, but you can see it coming from a mile away. The minute Kalia the deck is still shuffling, and you're just like, okay, what is he going to run that's going to kill me? That's an angel or demon or dragon. And it's pretty straightforward.
And this isn't to say anything bad about this type of player, but the people that are playing Narset are probably going to have a Kalia deck too, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're kind of similar, but they're very like that 1-2 punch I win strategy. Like all of a sudden I'm done. And it's just like, okay.
Like I said, it's your goal is to swing. Not even, you don't care after that, but you cheat in a demon or a dragon or get an extra turn or an extra combat step and do it again. Like your goal is to play your commander and swing.
Yep.
And it's pretty easy. Like I've seen it done on turn 3 with boots and some crafty mana and stuff. It's bad to have like, say, a 2/2 flying haster, and then all of a sudden that turns into like 8 with a flying demon, like, man, oh man, super good. And again, I think, like you said, this is the boogeyman from or C13 or C11 to C13. Like, really, so good.
Yep.
Animar, another C11.
Boogeyman.
Yeah.
This deck has really withstood the test of time. Like, I have an NMR deck. I know several people that have an NMR deck, and it's still just amazing. It's ridiculous to play against. I definitely understand why I get targeted when I play it. There's a reason that I have built up a crazy reputation with this deck, so it definitely makes sense. It's good. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. I think there's some things that are starting to outclass it, which makes sense. It needs to be outclassed at some point, but yeah.
Pro from some other colors, and then the big deal I think is creatures cost way less because those counters aren't going anywhere.
Well, and the cool thing is that there's a lot of commanders that just get better every time a set gets printed, but this is one of them that just gets amazing every time a set gets printed, because it's just like, no matter what, you can probably find a creature in there that either has a strong ETB or a really good activated ability or anything like that, and Animar speaks to all of them, because as long as you can cast the creature, that's all Animar cares about.
Yeah.
So, Eldrazi were huge. Like when BFC was coming out with a whole bunch of those crazy Eldrazi, like Animar players, I'm sure were just in rejoice, because it's just like, oh, Ulamog.
Another creature I can play for next to nothing. Oh, so good.
Voidwinter was another big one. It's just like, well, one of my big things is board wipes, and Voidwinter pretty much shuts down a lot of even-costed spells, and whatever a lot of even-costed spells, board wipes.
Yeah, 4s and 6s and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, that'll work. That'll work for me.
And you think of how easy it is to get him safe with some boots or something, or untap, or there's
for the most part, you don't even really need it. The pro black and white really gets a lot of people, because they're just like, oh, I'm playing blah blah, I can deal with that, and it's just like Doomblade, and it's just like, well, you need to reread the card, buddy.
It's in the first line.
Like, I remember somebody tried to tragic slip it. Like, they worked really hard to get that too, because they were just like, okay, I'm gonna swing with blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, I'll block, and they're just like, okay, I'll tragic slip it.
Morbid.
It's like,
pro black.
I don't know if you've read this yet, but
and then of course, like, the thing that stands out to me, because now I'm aware of them, are the cheap or let's say really expensive creatures like Palancron.
Oh god,
and then what was it, Ancestral Statue or something that's
that combo
costs 4 and it's colorless, and it's just like, I'm just gonna play this and play this and play this, and you can bounce it. Oh my god, dude! Like, infinite mana. It's in blue. I don't know what they were thinking, but this card is really good. Yeah, and just lends itself to those combos. So
Hey, another combo thing. Kikijiki.
Did you see this?
This one's definitely gone down in, like, the level of threat, though, because a lot of people have ways to deal with it now in their decks, and I think that's just like a
it's just an evolution of how to deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You see this or Pestermite or Deceiver Exarch, and then just remember those, because you're going to see one of the other ones in a minute.
It's like literally, I play Blind Obedience in almost every deck that I can because of things like this.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You think of I love Batwing Broom. There's no greater joy than seeing somebody like, oh, okay, everybody's this life total, make a bunch of tokens of this, Zealous Conscripts or whatever, and then, oh, take damage equal to number of my creatures. Oh no.
And it's funny that you say that, because I put Batwing Broom in several decks, and I've only ever had that happen one time. Yeah. And really, it is the best feeling.
I remember Greg did it, or he did the Rakdos Charm, and he's just like, he lives for that,
Yeah.
But there's a reason this guy's was in a modern deck.
Yep.
And you'd think it'd be hard for Commander, but it's not that hard. 100 cards isn't too bad when you've got 4 chances to do this sort of thing.
One of my favorite games that I probably ever played was a Kikijiki group hug deck. It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this, but essentially the deck was built to give everybody a benefit instead of like kill everyone. So it was just like, what in the hell is going on?
Did you play it or play
against it? No, I played
it?
Against it. And it was just like I can't remember exactly what it was running. I just remember like thinking, oh, it's gonna kill me, and all of a sudden I'm up 40 life, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
That guy's like what's the guy's name? Puck from that Midsummer Night's Dream or whatever. He's a mischief maker, like Kikijiki, and then it's just like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, this card, it's got some mileage on it. It's really good.
Yeah, really
it's
good.
It's kind of funny. It's not as it's still a threat, definitely is, because most of the time, once again, if they're playing it, they know what they're doing with it, unless they're playing a group hug deck, which is really weird.
If you're that guy, comment and we'll bring you in for an interview.
Really, I'd like to see that deck because it was it was a Zedru deck.
Okay.
And then it had this. I can't even remember what was going on. I just know I had one of the best games of my entire life, because it was just like, this is so ridiculous.
That's strange, boy.
Paradox Engine.
Well, this one was another one that was pretty far into our search. Obviously really good. Untapping stuff whenever you play stuff. And it's not even creatures. It's not even, I mean, non-land permanents. How much damage can you do with untapping all of your non-land permanents every time you play something?
Well,
a lot.
A lot.
You think of like Cryptolith rights, and it's just like, okay, all my horrible creatures are now mana that will infinitely fuel my hand, assuming my spells don't cost more than that. You know,
the way that I like to look at this card, and really I assess it with like Hannah Ship's Navigator. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about it, if you have this, a couple mana rocks, and Hannah Ship's Navigator, and then a way to sacrifice artifacts, you essentially can go on an infinite loop on whatever artifact you want to continue to play. So, like, I know that's jumping through a lot of hoops, but really it's not that hard to assemble in a deck like that that's already trying to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's just one example. There are a ton of commanders that I'm sure would work with this, but it's just like...
It's just a really good card.
Well, and it's an auto include in pretty much everything because it's colorless, so it doesn't really matter what you're playing it in. It's just like, do I have activated abilities in my deck? Okay. Do I have things that tap creatures? Okay. You know, so on and so forth. It's just like, well, I shouldn't say activated abilities. Tap activated abilities.
Yeah.
Rings of Bright Earth, obviously, with something like this is just like, okay.
Yeah.
There are even lands that are just like, oh no.
Yeah. And you think of, well, I guess because you untap non-lands, right?
Yeah, but if there's a way to like then grab like what is the
like an Arbor Elf or something to untap.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Like Lauren actually built a deck around this where his Grixis deck essentially works to untap everything, but because of Paradox Engine it's able to, because you untap your mana rocks, then with like Candelabra or whatever it's called, Candle of whatever the one is where you can pay X into it, untap X amount of lands.
Is it like Candelabra of
Thanos, I think it is. Yeah.
The $300 card.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
So I mean, this is really like
a
high dollar stuff here, but I mean, there's also the green creature that does the same thing. So you run effects like that, and then you just start untapping your lands with your mana. Then all of a sudden you're just like, really at that point there's no reason to do it, but you can.
You can, yeah. Like you said, they put you in a box, or well, you know, like you're saying, it's tough. There's that border, and then you can just surpass it.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
really good card.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next.
Oh, Proto.
Yep.
So I know we've been saying threat assessment, get rid of things when you can. This is something you can't get rid of most of the time unless you have a board wipe. So this
or a
is
counterspell, right?
Yeah, this is really more of oh crap.
Yep.
You know. So yeah, you better have a Wrath of God or a Supreme Verdict or something to get rid of this stupid thing, or an Aetherize will work too. You know, effects like that, Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah, can't target. You've got to hit destroy all or bounce all or make somebody exile or sacrifice or whatever. You know,
I've died to this card more times than I care to admit. It'll get you.
Yeah.
It'll get you fast too.
It's a popular commander choice. I mean, the art is super cool. The fact that it's 5 color has a draw factor. The fact that it's a 10/10, the protection. I mean, this card says, like, love me, play with me, kill your friends with me. Like, you know.
A lot of people are actually kind of going on this whole, like, Avatar tribal thing now. I know Bobby's been working on it for a long time, but now they're doing the legendary dinosaur avatars. So it's just like, yeah, this is awesome. They're going to do one in each color. It's just like, yay.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that for forever. But...
Yeah, just an Avatar tribal deck. I could definitely see it. Progenitus at the helm. It's just, like, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. That card.
Yeah.
Hopefully your threat assessments are on point.
Yeah.
Good old Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
I love this card. Yeah. It's probably as bad as Narset in a lot of ways. Well, not really, but it's pretty bad.
It's a game ender.
I remember I had a chance to get a foil of this, and I passed it up. I feel like such a moron. I know they're not expensive, but they're hard to find. And it's just like...
And did you play Theros Standard?
I did, and I played this card heavily.
So I'm sure it would have meant something to have it, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll trade. Nah, I'll pass. And it's just like, wow, I'm such a moron.
Yeah, but you can see here, Devotion Black, lose life, gain life. I mean, we had a gameplay here where Greg played one, and he was at like 6, and then all of a sudden he's at like 18, and everybody was at 12, and now they're at 6, and... you know, or, you know, 9 or whatever the math works out to. But, man, and then, like you said it when we were doing this, somebody's going to recur this over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
In a small board of 4 players, just him, he's going to cost you 2, everybody else 2, and that person's got 6.
I'm really surprised there's not a popper deck built around this guy.
Yeah.
He might even
There
be banned
probably
in Pauper.
is. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but it's so good. It's so ridiculous. The card is amazing.
A common, like you said, it really defined Theros early on.
Yeah, this should have been a rare.
Yeah. Maybe they weren't thinking.
No, well, maybe if it was a rare, it'd be a little bit cheaper or something like that. But still, it's just like,
yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Perforos, another one from Theros block, another one you can probably see coming.
I kind of forgot about some of these cards, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that terribleness.
It gets your blood pressure up, like, oh god, Perforos, it's on the board.
Yeah,
obviously not good.
No, it.
How often do you see this in a green deck, or like you said with Omnath? Yeah, just like I'll get a bunch of lands and then get a bunch of elementals, and then I'm gonna deal everybody too.
Well, what's even worse is like a Pophoros deck. It's just like, or not Pophoros, a Prosh deck.
Yeah.
Like Prosh and Pophoros, it's just like, oh, just finish me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll cast him for 6 and I'll deal you all $1 billion, 14.
You're not gonna be around very long.
And then it's, I'll kill him, and it's just like, okay, well, I'll recast Prosh. Now you're all dead, no matter what.
Yeah.
Avengers Zendikar obviously is terrible with this thing.
Yep.
It's just like there's a whole bunch of instances where you don't want to see this.
No.
Animar, once again, you're just playing creatures willy-nilly, and it's just like, okay, 2 damage to everybody, 2 damage to everybody.
You think of like Brea even. Like, you're dropping, that'd be 6 for everybody,
Yep.
Super good. Pick up a Perforos if you run red and creatures.
It's like the red version of Gary.
yeah. Progenitor Mimic. This one's kind of utilitarian. It depends on what's on the board, but yeah, it'll get out of hand.
Well, usually the person that's playing this has something in their deck that obviously goes with this. Some of my worst games, and we've gone from favorites to worst now, is I remember somebody had 2 Progenitor Mimics, I think they cloned one or something. 2 Progenitor Mimics, and they were both on Acidic Slime. And they were literally just like every turn was like, okay, you lose a land, you lose a land, you lose a land. Everybody loses a land. It's just like, yeah, we could have maybe dealt with it a while ago, but now we can't deal with it in any way. Yeah. So it's just like, this is just not good.
Jeez, yeah.
It's just like they have an army of 2/2 Death Touchers too, and it's just like, okay.
I forgot about that.
Okay, this is awesome.
Yeah, that'll get out of control quick.
Everything is awful.
We'll see our next one. Cathar's Crusade. We were talking about, like Avengers Zendikar or any ATB, just getting things that are infinitely out of control the more you play stuff. Like, I told Steve, I hate this card. I played a Darien Life Gain Soldier deck, and I hate this card because you spend more of your time fiddling with dice and stuff. But obviously that is a hugely threatening card when somebody's just like, I'm going to puke out my whole humans deck. And
if you have an answer for this, just deal with it because you're not helping yourself out by like letting it linger. Yeah. Even like a couple triggers on this is usually enough.
Yeah. Like you think of Ozars, this is going to be with usually a tribal deck, I'd say, and then it'll probably run with Door of Destinies. So it's just like...
Well, and I don't know why no one thinks about it this way, but this is literally like every creature you control has an Avenger as Zendikar.
Yeah.
And it's not even triggered by lands. It's triggered by creatures.
Other creatures, yeah.
So in some ways, it's even more under your control because you can play more than one creature per turn more often than you can play more than one land per turn.
Yep.
So it's just like, I'll just play these 2 1-drops, and everybody's getting, collectively, I might have just gained 20 power.
Yeah, just because that one triggers all the other ones to get an extra counter.
Yeah.
Oh, super, super good.
Lurking Predators.
Yeah. How often have you seen something just disgusting or game-changing or game-ending come off the top of somebody's deck?
Although it's really funny when, like, something they don't want to flip over... excuse me, gosh, big yawn. When something they don't want to flip over, like a Craterhoof Behemoth is on top, and it's just like, ha!
This is my turn nuts, or somebody else's turn, right? Yeah.
So that's always good, but for the most part, it's bad for you. I've seen so many things get answered by just a random Lurking Predators trigger, too. It's just like, Lurking Predators, I can't talk anymore. Acidic Slime, blah, or what's the other? Bane of Progress. Like, I've seen that happen before. You blow up your own Lurking Predators, but usually it's just like, okay, whatever.
Who cares? Yeah, it's just a sneaky card. We were talking about some of those other like cheat stuff into play, and then it's just like, oh, my problem got way worse. Like, because you're punishing your opponent for playing the game.
I mean, there's the blue enchantment that's kind of similar to this, where you get to essentially steal the first spell off the top of their library every time they cast a spell on a turn or whatever, which is really good too. Mind's Desire, I think that one's called.
I think so.
There are a few effects like this, but Lurking Predator is definitely the one that I always think of automatically. It's just like, oh yeah, that card will really... I think I only have like 2 copies of the card, and every time I play it, I'm really happy. I don't know why I don't have very many of these.
I think, it's only, Shards of Alara and
it's not very
C16.
expensive, though. I mean, it's fairly
6
cheap.
or 10, somewhere around
comparison.
There. Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
I think that might be the end, yeah.
Yep.
So...
Whoa, that was a long list.
It was a long list.
Longer than I remember it being.
Yeah. I think we got a good amount of discussion in there. Hopefully you guys feel the same. If you've got one that you think should have made the list or whatever, definitely comment it.
Yeah, throw it in the comments.
Yeah, really, the threats are everywhere. Depending on your play group, somebody might have a different threat, or this one card that you just hate, or this one rival that plays this one card that always gets your goat. Like, it's a thing. It's how Magic's played, but man, there are some bad. These are bad news cards. Like, yeah, back to Consecrated Sphinx. Like,
it's just, that card. After seeing Narset, though, I'm just like, nothing's worse.
Yeah. But, thanks for joining us, guys, and hopefully you stuck with us. It's a longer episode, but...
I guess we should say our next episode will most likely be on Unstable.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. We'll be talking about pretty much like the commander strategies that we see off the bat, because there's a few legendary creatures in the set. So we'll talk about those. And we'll be leading into our Unstable gameplay, which will be here pretty soon as well. Yeah. So look forward to that.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
We've talked about it.
We have talked about it. You're right. I missed the intro or exo.
We've been here for a while. Peace.